saying the Russian fighter jet that hit it was damaged but managed to land. The big question, was this simply a reckless interception that got out of control, or was the collision done on purpose?
It's clear that it was unsafe, unprofessional, and I think the actions speak for themselves.
The Russians are claiming the drone was flying southwest of the Crimean Peninsula toward Russia's border and crashed because of sharp maneuvering, and that the Russian jets never came into physical contact with the drone. The Pentagon says the downed drone has not been recovered by either side. Late today, the U.S. summoning Russia's ambassador to the State Department, the White House saying that's part of keeping diplomatic lines open.
That's why you want the lines of communication open, so that you can actually have those kinds of very direct interchanges and lay bare and lay clean what your concerns are.
And our thanks to Martha Raddatz for that tonight. And while we're dealing with a lot of rain, another atmospheric river here in Los Angeles, there is a nor'easter that is moving all the way up the East Coast. Heavy winds, rain, they're gusting up to 60 miles an hour in some areas, from Philadelphia to New York and Boston. Nearly 2 feet of snow reported in Pritchard, New York, Massachusetts, and Vermont. And this system will stay in that area until tomorrow. Trevor Alt is reporting tonight from Massachusetts.
Tonight, a treacherous drive home for millions in the grip of a powerful nor'easter. Cars fishtailing in New Hampshire. Part of Interstate 93 shut down for a time. Power lines blocking the road.
We just came to a complete stop, and that was about an hour ago.
Cement-like snow weighing down trees.
Completely over the interstate.
And taking down power lines across the Northeast, putting hundreds of thousands in the dark. In some spots, nearly 3 feet of snow already, with hours still to go.
Really heavy snow, heavier than usual. Moving it feels like, it's a workout.
At a snowy Syracuse airport, a Delta flight went off the taxiway. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
We felt us kind of glide to the left a little bit, and then it felt as if we were kind of on rumble strips similar to on the highway.
And on the coast, winds gusting up to 60 miles an hour. High tide in Situate, Massachusetts. Officials bracing for flooding.
Is this the worst storm of the season for you? Definitely the worst storm of the season. This is kind of the perfect storm with the wind, the rain, the snow, and the tides.
Air travel disrupted across the country. More than 4,000 flights delayed, 1,000 flights canceled so far.
Wow, our thanks to Trevor Alt for that, and we'll see how that plays out tomorrow as well. And now to the latest developments in the collapse of 2 U.S. banks, Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. The Justice Department and the SEC today launching separate investigations into why SVB failed. It comes amid new concerns about the stability of America's banking system as a whole. Here's ABC's Chief Justice Correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, just days after the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank sparked fears of a wider banking crisis, the Justice Department and the SEC launching separate investigations.
Silicon Valley Bank was not a traditional regional bank. It was rapid growth. It was poorly managed.
Sources telling ABC News that part of the FBI's early focus will be looking into whether any of Silicon Valley's senior leadership got unusual bonuses or sold stocks in the days leading up to the bank's collapse. In short, is there any evidence of insider trading?
We must get the full accounting of what happened and why those responsible can be held accountable. No one is above the law.
Senator Elizabeth Warren now arguing any executive bonuses and stock sales should be taken back from those bankers.
They took on all that risk, made themselves more profitable right up to the day that the bank exploded.
And tonight, critics, including Senator Warren, point out it was easier for Silicon Valley to fly under the radar of regulators because regulations of these banks were rolled back by President Trump just 10 years after the biggest banking collapse in U.S. history. Rolled back with support from Republicans and some Democrats in Congress. And because of that, the bank no longer had to pass those key bank stress tests.
These reforms are critical to helping all Americans thrive and to prosper.
And for the first time, we're seeing the failed CEO of that Silicon Valley Bank addressing his employees last Friday after the government took over the bank.
I care so much about all of you. It really is just so incredibly difficult.
No longer in control of this bank, making last-minute pleas for his employees to hang on.
So I got an ask, and it's a completely unfair ask. My unfair ask is this. You guys just hang around, try to support each other, try to support our clients, work together, which may be again, slightly better outcome than where we are right now.
That is quite a plea, and our thanks to Pierre Thomas for that. Turning to politics now, where Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and likely 2024 presidential candidate, is making his first comments on foreign policy now, saying that supporting Ukraine is not in the vital interest of the U.S. The White House and even some top Republican senators were quick to criticize his comments. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Welcome to Governor DeSantis. Tonight, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's likely running for president, declared protecting Ukraine against Russia is not in the vital national interest of the U.S. DeSantis saying, while the U.S. has many vital national interests, becoming further entangled in a territorial dispute between Ukraine and Russia is not one of them. He adds the Biden administration's virtual blank check for as long as it takes distracts from our country's most pressing challenges. The White House today firing back.
If we were just to lay back and let Putin take Ukraine, which, make no mistake, he hasn't pulled away from it. If we just lay back and let that happen, where does it stop?
The sharpest critics of DeSantis' comments, his fellow Republicans.
The last thing we need is a bully with nuclear weapons feeling like he's emboldened and that there's nobody keeping him in check.
Senator John Cornyn saying he was disturbed by the DeSantis statement. Others implying the Florida governor is out of his depth.
Obviously, he's busy running a big state, but if he's interested in the bigger states, he probably needs to get boned up on it.
Well, I don't know what he's trying to do or what the goal is. Obviously, he doesn't deal with foreign policy every day as governor.
But DeSantis is staking out a similar position as his potential top rival, former President Donald Trump, who has even suggested letting Russia take over parts of Ukraine.
Shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It could take 24 hours.
And our thanks to you, Rachel Scott. The EPA announced today it will restrict some cancer-causing forever chemicals. They're known as PFAS. These forever chemicals do not break down. They can actually seep into soil and water. As many as 200 million Americans are exposed to PFAS in their very own tap water. Last year, the EPA found that even small amounts of these chemicals can cause problems. And exposure to these chemicals over time has been linked to severe illnesses like cancer, liver damage, high cholesterol. So this move by the EPA today, which is expected to be finalized by the end of the year, will require utility companies to remove high levels of PFAS chemicals, but they still have 3 years to comply. So joining us right now for more is actor Mark Ruffalo, who has been raising awareness about these chemicals in our water for years, including his 2019 movie Dark Waters. He also serves as spokesman with the Environmental Working Group. So Mark, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, first, you've been, and yeah, we're so happy to have you. You've been a huge advocate, especially for a rule like this. So how critical will this be to helping millions of Americans have access to tap water that's safe?
Well, this has been something that, people have been trying to get to happen for many decades now. Just to give you an idea of how toxic these compounds are, 1 part per billion is 1 drop in a swimming pool, Olympic-sized swimming pool. And it's 1 part per trillion that it needs to be for us to stay healthy. But it's been very difficult to get the federal government, the EPA, to issue some guidance on your regulations, and now it's happening. I mean, we're still up to 3 years out, and we have to get through the comments period. But as far as what people have been trying to do in these frontline communities, this is a significant step forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the picture you're painting is really important, right? This is a significant step, but still, we're talking about the companies required to remove high levels of these chemicals when we know even trace amounts can cause problems. Plus, they have always some 3 years to do it. So when we know that this step forward is significant, but we still have a long fight ahead, what inspired you to actually get involved? And do you think that, like public pressure from celebrities like yourself helped make this happen?
I do. I do feel that the movie was used as a organizing tool for the communities, the frontline communities where this is happening. These are the things we've all lived with for years. But when we dug down into it, and with the movie, we really explain it well through the story of Rob Bilott, who was the lawyer who actually uncovered this nightmare and the malfeasance of DuPont and 3M. We were able to tell the story in a way that moved people and that transcended politics. We took it to North Carolina, we took it to Capitol Hill, we showed lawmakers it. Every state it's played in, and it skyrocketed up to #1 on Amazon. I think because it really did touch a nerve in people.
I think it did, and it certainly brought awareness to people that perhaps didn't know. In 2019, this movie, as you mentioned there, I mean, it really hones in on the human toll, right, of these forever chemicals. Like, we actually have a clip to play. Let's take a look.
What happened? They're going to fight every claim. Thousands of claims. People, sick people. They'll give up. The system is rigged. They want us to think it'll protect us, but that's a lie. We protect them. We do.
How do you think the community that you focus there on is, how do they think they're feeling tonight? How do you think they are?
Well, there's Emily Donahue, who I met in North Carolina, literally in 2019, who's on the front line, in the frontline community. She was the one who introduced Michael Regan, the EPA administrator today. And I could hear in her voice as she introduced him, and she told her story, her family story, her community story. We're talking people dying, people sick, children drinking this stuff for years and years and years, her children. She was very moved, very emotional. It's been like a specter in people's lives, this horror that has been sort of stalking them, stalking their health, and a lot of people didn't even know it until 2019 when the movie came out. It's a big, huge step, and we appreciate what the Biden administration did and that they held to their commitments, but it's still bittersweet.
And still a long way to go, as you